Okay, ready to go?
Ready, I think, as soon as the TV's on.
Okay.
Good?
Good. All right, thank you. Call the meeting to order at 6:32. Roll call.
Bet. Thompson,
I'm here.
Katie Knudsen.
Here.
Richard Anthony,
Here.
Kit Carbs,
Here.
Margot Collins.
Here.
Larry Gladhill,
Present.
Nolan Pelletier, sorry, Nolan. John Sherman is excused.
Yes.
Jada Roche is also excused.
Yes.
Tyler Shorman.
Here.
Greg Colby is here. We also have Bill Coy present and Eric Meyer.
Thank you. All right, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Charlie, thank you for getting the minutes out in advance.
Make a motion to approve the November 4th meeting.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstain? Aye. No abstentions? Any opposed? All right, thank you. So we're gonna pick up where we left off last week. Oh, I'm sorry. You want to introduce Eric?
As Mr. Mayor, the town attorney, was planning on attending 2 weeks ago, but unavoidable circumstances prevented him from being here, so he did agree to come tonight to answer questions and the like. So with that, I can introduce Eric Mayer as Donahue, Tucker, and Shindella.
Yeah, please, Eric. Yeah,
Please, thank you.
thank you for coming.
I'm here.
Glad you're feeling better.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate everybody's flexibility on that as well.
Yep, not a problem. Greg, did you have particular questions you wanted to go through first, or open matters?
Well, I know one of the things that had come up at the last meeting, Mr. Pelletier brought up RSA 32 and the conflicting
Verbiage.
verbiage that he felt was in there with regards to Ms. Knudsen as a member of the budget committee. So I know that was one of the items.
Okay.
Can you start there?
Yeah, I sent the email a couple of times to legal over the last 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure if you follow that at all.
I don't recall that one specifically.
Okay, well, Katie Knudsen serves on the school board,
Sure.
Timberlane School District.
Timberlane.
Yep. And there was a question about her conflict of interest with her being a member of this committee as well.
Conflict of interest or incompatibility of office?
Either, I guess.
So, so really the operative standard is incompatibility of office.
Okay.
The ability of one to actually hold office and sit in both capacities. And Member Knudsen, you are an at-large member in both contexts, both on the school board. You're elected
Yeah, I'm elected.
on the regional school board,
Mhm.
and you're the at-large member on the budget committee.
Sir.
RSA 669-7 specifically calls out these circumstances and identifies a variety of incompatible offices. And in that provision, there is an exception as it relates to members of a cooperative school district. And the rationale behind that is if you look at the RSAs related to cooperative school districts, they have their own budget committee. Why does this statute exist? It's really the incompatibility of office statute 669-7 as it relates to the budget committee, and 3215 is really intended to ensure that there's no one entity that has a disproportionate voice on the budget committee. And so that way that there's a disproportionality of interest as it relates to school board matters, et cetera. And so, but that circumstance doesn't apply as it relates to cooperative school districts because they have their own budget committee. They decide matters as relates to their own budget. So that interest about avoiding disproportionate say on a certain issue that's going to be before the budget committee, it doesn't come into play. And the legislature has recognized that through 669-7, which identifies expressly that members of a budget committee, except for members of, cannot be on the school board except for members of a regional school board. That is a recognition by the legislature that
Yes. Then why, directly in the policy, it points to Chapter 32 for our governing documents. So there is no reference to, what did you say, 669?
669-7.
669.7. So I'm not saying 669.7 remedies this situation, but when you're referring to a policy and it refers to Chapter 32 and it makes no reference to 669, how do you remedy that?
So the legislature, well, what the courts do as it relates to statutes dealing with the same subject matter is they have to reconcile the two. And there's a principle called the specific trumps the general, meaning that when there is a statute that has very specific language as to a very specific circumstance, that will trump a statute that may identify a certain Well, you have a more specific provision when you have in 669.7, which expressly acknowledges the existence of Chapter 32. If you read 669.7, it references RSA Chapter 32 and makes reference and accounts for at-large members of a cooperative school district or regional school district.
Why wouldn't 32 reference 669?
Why
wouldn't Chapter 32 reference 669 if it actually is pertaining to the specifics in, if those are the governing documents, then why isn't there I mean, I read it, there's no clause within Chapter 32 referencing 669.7. So typically, I mean, I know I'm not a lawyer, but I mean, usually when there's a clause or there's a extenuating circumstance, that is referenced. I mean, I'm an electrician and I'm in a code book, it says,
Sure.
this is X, Y, or Z unless it falls under 314.17, refer to that section.
Correct.
So it's, I don't understand I'm not saying it's.
Do you want to know the real reason or do you want to know the legal reason? They're both relatively similar. The reason why is New Hampshire codes and statutes are often a mess. New Hampshire is it's the second largest legislative body in the Western Hemisphere, behind only the U.S. Congress. It is one of the only legislative bodies in the country that is comprised entirely of volunteers. So you don't have a lot of professional legislative staff. No disrespect intended to any of our state reps. But when you have over 700 chapters, there's often a lot of disparity or disconnect between some of the chapters. And often it comes down to which provision is being amended at that time. So you look at when a certain statute was last amended to ascertain why is one reference it and not the other. So if we look at 3215, the last time it was amended was August 7th, 1998. 669, which does reference 32 as it relates to this very issue, was last amended August 10th, 2014. What that tells me, as an attorney that does legislative histories and as part of an interpretation, is that when the legislature was discussing incompatibility of office, they amended only that statute at that time and made reference to 32, and they didn't want to open the door of having to adjust or modify other statutes located throughout the various other codes. So how they reconciled the two was by making reference to and invoking RSA Chapter 32 in 669:7.
So do you think the policy should be amended to reflect that, saying our governing procedures are governed by?
So this isn't a policy, this is a state law.
Well, I'm referring to our policy as a budget committee.
So your policy can't trump state law. The state law is the exclusive in terms of what is an incompatible office. Because really what we're talking about here, the qualifications for office are ingrained in our Constitution. And it has to do with the ability of the one's constitutionally protected rights to participate in government. And so those limitations are largely set by statute. A municipality could not curtail the eligibility for statute in that regard and establish an incompatibility when the legislature has expressly stated what is incompatible in that regard. That's called legislative preemption. So the policy is superseded by what the folks in the Gold Dome in Concord have said.
Just a question with respect to that. If let's say the budget committee, or let's say the town were to pass a warrant and say that eligibility to be on the budget committee, municipal employees, are prohibited from being on the board, and anyone that is a member of a cooperative or incorporated school board is ineligible to be on the budget committee. We would be able to do something like that, correct?
Could you do a warrant article to limit the same reason that this budget committee couldn't do so?
Yeah, in the same way, let's say that the zoning board of adjustments, was an appointed position. Now it's not an appointed position; it's an elected position.
So in that context, as it relates to zoning, there's an express statute that authorizes a municipality to do that.
Okay.
And we're not a home rule jurisdiction, meaning that municipalities obtain and derive all their power from the acts of the legislature, by and through statutes.
No.
So whereas where you have zoning, there's an express statute, it's in RSA chapter 673, which allows, I believe that's the right chapter number, that allows for, Mr. Kane would know, he's the one that submitted the petition last year, that allows for the mechanism by which one would select a zoning board member. There's nothing as it relates to that specific issue in terms of defining what is and is not an incompatible office in 669.
Right. So we wouldn't be able to, let's say, exclude a select board member from being a member of the budget committee because the statute expressly says that, a budget committee, we comprise a select board member and an alternate.
No more than you could say that members of the budget committee can't have red hair.
All right. But you're saying that we couldn't say that, maybe we don't want municipal employees sitting on the board. We wouldn't be able to do something like that.
Well, there's already a provision in 669 having to do, and I believe our chapter RSA 3215 as it relates to municipal employees, which are full-time municipal employees cannot be on the budget committee. I believe that's in the budget committee. I know it's certainly the select board. Yeah, full-time employees of the town or of a school board, except, again, cooperative school boards cannot serve on the budget committee.
Now, could I just
That's
ask,
expressed by statute.
could I just ask about the intent? I mean, again, somebody, previous boards here decided that we'd be governed by, RSA 32. I mean, it's in our rules and procedures. And, it's, pretty much just, it doesn't go into the granularity of respect to, whether or not you're in a cooperative school district or not. So, and you touched upon the idea that, you don't want to have people that have influence on, both sides of the budgets, I guess,
Not so much that. You don't want over-representation
Okay.
on issues that are going to be discussed by this body.
Okay. So I guess my point is that what we have in front of us is the fact that this budget committee expressly says that we're going to be governed by, RSA 3215. And there's nothing else. There's no granularity of respect to 669.7 or anything like that. And, without going too much into the intent of it, we have a situation where maybe, incorporated or not incorporated, you might have, well, we do in fact have an, individual on the board that's, on the school board as the chairman. They're the school board representative to the budget committee for the school board. They've been the chairperson for the municipal board, and they're in fact now the vice chair of the municipal budget committee, and might be a per diem worker for the town, and additionally, affiliated with somebody who's the head of the largest department of the town. So, I mean, whether or not, that's statutorily prohibited or not, it kind of coincides with the intent. So
It's all great questions to raise to the voters when they go to the ballot box. But I mean, at some point in time, the statute provides what is and is not incompatible. And really what you're doing there is, when you're interpreting a statute like that, is to determine whether or not somebody is going to have their right to participate in public office restricted. And so in that regard, you have to apply the letter of the law as it stands. And you have to reconcile the two, 669 and 32.5. And the way that a court would do it would be, as I mentioned, look at the specific and it trumps the general, particularly where the latter statute that was last amended, 669.7, makes reference to 32. In terms of whether or not it's good policy, it makes good sense, that's a decision for the voters to make. That's what you call a non-justiciable political question, right. Something that's left best for the voters to decide.
Would the voter, is it something that the voters could determine? If I were to say, if let's say, we get a warrant article and we say that, we don't want our budget committee to have that type of overrepresentation in Plastow, would we be able to say that full-time municipal employees and people that are on the incorporated school board are ineligible from being on the budget committee? Would we be able to frame a warrant article like that?
Looking at the statute, I don't see any authorization. Again, we're talking about the municipality must be enabled to exercise that sort of authority. I don't see any provision in the law which allows for the voters to go in and restrict, again, somebody's ability to seek and obtain public office in that regard. And so again, we're coming to a matter of, it's a matter of supremacy of the law. What is the supreme law of the land?
Right.
And when you're in first year in law school, what they tell you is supremacy of the law of the land in a state. U.S. Constitution, state constitution. Parallel to that, federal law, state statutes, municipal regulations and ordinances. So if you have a state statute that says one thing, unless the state statute has allowed and reserved municipal authority to regulate, that state statute trumps. And here you have a state statute that does in fact trump your policies. Much in the same respect, if you had a policy that violated any other law, it's unenforceable. I'll give a good example. This year, the legislature imposed changes for ADUs, accessory dwelling units. And that went into effect, I believe it went into effect July 1 of 2025. Well, town meetings didn't happen after July 1, 2025. So you have a law that's on the books related to what a municipality can do to regulate accessory dwelling units. That was significantly different in a lot of material respects from what a lot of municipalities had on the zoning ordinances, right? You had a disconnect. The town zoning ordinance may prohibit something, but state law says thou shalt allow. Well, the state law trumps there. It says, towns, you shall allow under these circumstances. If your zoning ordinance said otherwise, it's not enforceable. So much in the same respect, you have a policy that says one thing, and it is being interpreted in one way. But you have a state law that says this is what compatible and incompatible is.
Yeah. Not to quibble too much, but just to clarify, you use the word shall. All right. So, I mean, where the regulation says shall or specifies, let's say, in this case, on the budget committee, that you can have a select board member, an ex officio member and an alternate, we wouldn't be able to say that select board member could not be on the budget committee because it's expressly allowed for in the law. All right, but in this case where it doesn't say that that somebody who's in an unincorporated school district or something like that, if we were to say that, well, we don't want to let's say have that overrepresentation. There's nothing in there that says you shall allow or people can whatever. We're just saying that we're restricting, the membership. Is it?
Well, we're talking about two different types of statutes, whereas one is a restriction. Incompatibility of office is a restriction. It's a restriction on what? As I've said before, it is a restriction on the constitutional right of somebody to participate in their government. So the starting point is you are allowed to participate in government. And what you have there is in the statute taking away that right as it relates to a small subgroup of people. Now, that group of what the statute cannot be broadened, however, to expand that subgroup of people beyond what's provided in the statute. And what's provided in the statute, so, and I know you keep referencing 32 doesn't reference this. 669(7) does. And you have to reconcile those. It says this is what is incompatible.
So 3215 is, in essence, if we have that as the only governing statute in our rules and procedures, you'd probably say that our rules and procedures are defective in some way.
I would. I'd say it's that aspect of it applied in that circumstance, it's unenforceable.
Right. So if we wanted to, let's say, have some granularity to people that are, who could be on a budget committee in a incorporated or unincorporated school board type thing, it would probably, you would have to amend or at the state level then.
I'd agree with that, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You'd have to reach out to your house rep.
Yeah, exactly. All right. That's all I have then. Sorry. Thank you.
Oh, happy to.
Thank you, Eric, for being thorough on that. We will revisit the procedures and policies after the budget is complete to make sure going forward. I just reviewed the procedures that we have will be updated in 2017, except for one amendment last year in regards to attendance and open seats. Does anybody else have any questions for Eric at this point? Greg, did you have anything else?
May I ask a question?
Of course.
So, sitting here on the budget committee, oftentimes, and watching the selectmen's meeting on TV, et cetera, we'll hear somebody say, well, we got to check with legal. I'd like to know, and I know we have a budget to cover legal. How are you paid? Are you paid hourly? Are you paid per email? Are you paid per? I'm not talking court case representation. I'm talking the nitpick little stuff. How are you paid?
Hourly.
Hourly.
I pay, we bill on, I have an hourly rate and we bill in 6-minute increments, which is industry standard.
So if the town manager or Greg or any other head of a board, Brian, sends you an email, you read it, you start the timer, you read it.
Mm-hmm.
Takes you 11 minutes to read it and 21 minutes to answer it, and that's how you are billed.
11 minutes to read it, 21 minutes to answer it. That would be 33 minutes. You get a 0.6.
Thank you. Because not that I don't like attorneys, I have attorneys in the family, but every time I hear somebody say legal when I really don't feel it's necessary, I cringe.
That's okay. I take no offense to that at all.
I'm a CPA and I blame attorneys for the way they bill all the time. Which is great, because people can relate. They don't mind paying you.
Shakespeare said, kill all the lawyers, so I'm used to it. It's been around for a long
I
time.
get some great lawyer jokes, but they're not appropriate for here.
I can say one, what do you call 100 dead lawyers at the bottom of the ocean?
Shark bait.
Start.
A good start.
Mr. Pelletier?
I would like to ask you, in reference to 3217, it says the governing bodies of municipalities adopting the subdivision or I'll put my readers on this to make it easier. Or of districts which are wholly within towns adopting the subdivision shall review the statements submitted to them under RSA 32.4 and shall submit their own recommendations to the Budget Committee together with all information necessary for the preparation of the annual budget, including each purpose for which an appropriation is sought and each item of anticipated revenue, including all sub-accounts used by the governing body. At such time, the Budget Committee shall fix. So my question is, if we motioned to have more information on a budget, we are within our rights to get that, correct?
Well, you have a qualifier there, including all sub-accounts used by the governing body. Governing body is a select board. So to some extent, in terms of more information, I would say that, you have no independent supervisory authority over, say, the police chief, because it's the police chief by statute 105-2A is beholden to and subject to the supervision and control of the town manager by RSA chapter 37. So you could ask for it, but there is a qualifier in there, which is, it's in accordance with normal accounting practices as established by the governing body in terms of the establishment of sub-accounts. That makes sense?
What if you don't get it? I mean, we can ask. You're saying we can ask. Well, let's say we want greater granularity with respect to, we'll say the police department, just for purposes of this example. If I say I want greater granularity with respect to the police department, and then you don't get it.
How granular are we talking?
I don't know. Maybe I want to see the a list of all filled positions. Maybe a roster. Some sort of hierarchical chart of some kind. With maybe some numbers attached to it and things like that. Budget committee stuff.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I hear you.
And let's say you don't get it, and and I guess we extend that metaphor out to any other department that I want to have greater granularity on, and then you don't get it. Is it just a question of you should get it and you didn't get it, and then you need to make a decision based on the fact that you asked and didn't get it? So how are you going to vote? All right. So then it's your decision. But, if I were to say that I want to see, all like revenue associated for a particular department, if I want to see, let's say a contract that I know that this department's involved in, or I want to hear a narrative around receivables that are billed to a particular department, and I don't get it. Is there an onerous upon the town to provide it, or is it just you didn't get it and you need to vote accordingly to your conscience?
I would say at that point in time, it's a matter of, if it's a department head, it's a matter of reaching, and you're dissatisfied with the level of information you requested and you're denied it. At some point in time, you reach the point where you have two separate political bodies, which at some point in time is going to reach the select board level, because that are going to be at loggerheads there. And in terms of, can you compel? Budget committee doesn't have an independent ability to compel, other than seeking to have those that have supervision and control over various departments to exercise greater supervision and control, and try to have them compel. That's part of the general obligation of, you're a town manager form of government, for comprehensive personnel practices and management. And if you're dissatisfied with the response of the town manager, and you go to the select board, which by statute has some modicum of control and supervision over the town manager. But at the end of the day, there comes a point in time where, if you look at the provision, it talks about including sub-accounts used by the governing body. What that is an indication of is there's a kernel level beyond which, a municipality or a municipal department doesn't have an obligation to, unless compelled by, say, the select board or the town manager.
So I think, and this will be the last thing I say, is, because the budget committee, at least the way I understand it, that PLASTA was set up, we're not we're not advisory, in the sense that, hey, we came up with a budget. We think this should be the budget. We're actually the budget that goes to deliberative is what the budget committee presents. So if you're saying that in terms of we're putting together a budget and we're not, if we think that we're not being provided whatever we need, then we're just at loggerheads if someone doesn't provide it to us.
Do you put, I don't mean to cut you off, but I have one quick question. Do you put tallies on your warrant under each budget warrant article?
Yep.
Yeah.
You do put the tallies on? What you see in a lot of communities is if there is, there'll be a tally of, so many members voted in opposition. And then you usually put somebody in the audience, that's going to ask the question at deliberative. Can somebody answer why why X number of members of the budget committee voted against this? I'll tell you why. We didn't get enough information to justify our vote in favor of it.
No.
At some point in time, the dispute becomes not legal.
It's political.
It's political.
All right.
Exactly. 100%.
All right. No, thank you. Oh, that's excellent.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Mr.
No, that's fine. I'm trying to find it now, but I do remember reading in 32 when you're a non-advisory committee, basically the budget, the responsibility of the budget shifts from the selectmen to the budget committee.
That is correct.
So if the responsibility of the budget shifts, but you're saying we have to go to the selectmen to get the answers for the budget, you don't see that is not a conflict?
It's a matter of authority. Who has authority over what? So the budget committee, of course, has authority in a non-advisory budget committee municipality such as Plastow. You have control over the budget and the recommended budget that's going to go on the warrant. But in terms of reprisal for refusal or failure to provide information that the budget committee may seek, that is an issue that's in the exclusive purview of those that manage the employees in the department heads. And that is within the authority of the Board of Selectmen and the town manager's office. So it's a matter of who has the authority to do what. And if you believe that you're not receiving sufficient information, then it becomes an issue of politics at that point in time.
So if we're not receiving it, but this is all public information. So as a citizen, I could do an RTK to gain that information.
To the extent that it is a public record, yes. So 91A is a public record statute, but if you don't have that information compiled in one location, there's no obligation to compile information into a document that doesn't already exist.
So you're saying there's no obligation to, so the choice is probably not to compile that information so it doesn't exist.
Well, there may be various reasons why you'd compile the information, but you don't have an obligation to compile, information to a certain degree of granularity if it doesn't exist. There's no obligation. 91A is a record production statute. It requires a municipality to provide access to existing government records, but it doesn't require a municipality to create, cross-reference, or compile information into a record that doesn't exist. So if a municipality doesn't maintain records, you see, I'll give you an example. You see all the time, I want a list of all of this information. Well, you don't have a list of all that information. Well, I want it. Well, it's not a public record. It's not a public record we have. And so the answer is we do no responsive records exist. And that's the response on a 91A. As to whether or not information to a certain level of granularity should exist, that's not really a legal question, as it is a political question,
Or budgeting question.
which can sometimes be a political question.
I don't think that budgets are a political question. I think budgets are actual factual numbers. But I guess I might be mistaken.
How you exercise discretion as a budget committee member in terms of what information you need and require in order to make a decision is oftentimes a political question. It's how you wish to exercise your discretion as a budget committee member, whether you wish to have a certain degree of granularity and what threshold of granularity you require to make a decision is different for somebody else. That's a matter of policy, that's the politic and political question.
Mr. Mayor, does when a member of the public submits an RTK, is there a requirement for the town to respond?
I'm sorry, I don't know if we.
Ryan, correct.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Taxpayer paying part of it.
I appreciate that. Well, thank you very much for that, first and foremost. So is there an obligation to provide a response?
Correct.
If the request is a request under 91A, which is a request to access public records, generally, yes, with some exceptions.
So if an RTK is submitted, it can't just be ignored. It's submitted appropriately via an RTK form.
Well, I guess
The town has to respond in some fashion.
the town's obligation in 91A, and I just taught an 8-hour class on Friday on 91A for the bar, so there's a lot that's in 91A. So really, in terms of 91A, when a municipality receives an appropriate 91A request, they have they have to do one of several things. If it is receiving a public record, governmental record that exists, and it is immediately available for disclosure, the municipality has to make that record immediately available for disclosure. This day and age where you have records scattered to the wind in various departments, hard to do. So in the alternative, if the record is not immediately available, the municipality has to, within 5 business days, do one of 3 things. Either make the record available for disclosure, deny the request, citing an exemption and how the exemption applies, or identify that additional time is necessary to compile the responsive records and make them available for disclosure to the extent that they are subject to disclosure.
So if they don't do any of those 3 things, is that an issue?
Depends on what is being sought. If it is a public record that exists, it may be. But no disrespect, Mr. LeBrecq. I try not to answer loaded questions in that way because the application of the law is fact intensive. So I like to have circumstances, facts before I give a more general.
So if an RTK is
Same way with
submitted,
the budget.
a response is provided by the town that says, we need additional time through a certain date, and then the town still doesn't respond.
Usually what the Supreme Court and what it's recognized is it expects that the requester to follow up and seek update from the municipality. And only if the municipality has failed after follow-up might there be an issue. But usually, and that's a recent decision from the Supreme Court, is there's an expectation of follow-up.
So who's asking the board of selectmen to respond in proper follow-up?
Usually it's better left to town administration because they're the ones that are actively handling the logistics of compiling the records. The board of selectmen often don't know of a 91A issue coming in unless it's a fairly sizable issue.
Okay. And from a question perspective, so if one were to submit a question and it was summarily rejected, one should just continue to submit different versions of the same question until maybe he or she strikes a public document that actually exists.
You can't give you legal advice.
Attorney Mayor, if I could, maybe. There is an ombudsman office in New Hampshire with respect to 91A type requests, correct?
There
But
is,
I think
there
it's-
is an office. Is nobody
Whether or not
in
it's
that
occupied or
office
not.
at present because the legislature cut the salary to $30,000 and the ombudsman said, I've quit better jobs than this, so I'm going to quit this one too.
And
So it's unmanned at this point in time.
so is there anything after the ellipses, with respect to like what happens, if you send it to this office, does it just queue up or
So
do you get pressed into service as an officer of the court to do these things, or
There is no draft or conscription as it relates to the ombudsman's office.
Okay.
Right now, it's just a vacant position. What's happening to complaints?
Would you like to do it?
No, under no circumstances do I want to do it. Thank you for the offer, though.
I'm here to help.
One more follow-up, if I could. Quick. The town has a cost system that has all the data in it, and they can run a report, and the data comes out. Is that a public record?
I'd have to know more about the software. I'd have to know more about it.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Eric. I got one more question. We had a question last week, Greg, 2 weeks ago, about offsetting rec revenue against the expenditures that they had in reserve. I'm not sure if you ever got an answer on that.
I think that was specifically that was
Is it the revolving
revolving
fund?
account.
So you want to ask that question again, Richard, so I don't?
Well, how the revolving account is governed, at least when I read the particular warrant at the time, the revolving account for recreation was governed by Board of Selectmen and some positions in the rec department.
Right.
And so I think the question was what you could use it for. All right, whether or not, and I think Mr. Colby had said that, no, you can't use it to offset like some sort of,
General expense.
some line item in the rec department budget. And then there was some talk about whether or not it was a pass-through account. But I mean, any pass-through account that has a balance for like a year is obviously not a pass-through account. But whether or not it could be used for other things. So hypothetically speaking, let's say the rec department wanted to use, and the Board of Selectmen voted to use the revolving account balance to pay for fireworks for
Old Homestead.
Old Homes Day. That's not a rec department line item, but it's something that the Board of Selectmen and the rec department decided to do, whether or not they could do that. So it's sort of a budget committee type thing that we talk about, fireworks and things like that.
So the revolving fund, I believe, has about 20 to 30,000 in it, correct? So that's why the question came about.
So I can only speak generally because I don't have the warrant in front of me. When I get a question as to the permissible expenditures, the questions I typically ask are, what do you want to spend the money on? What's the fund it's coming out of? And what was the town meeting that established that fund or any amendments of the fund?
Okay.
Because then the next step that I do is I pull up the town reports and I actually look at the meeting minutes from the deliberative or any other sessions. And I try to find out what did the town meeting understand when it was establishing this? Because really it's one of those areas where the voters impose the restrictions on the permissible expenditures. When you say it's subject to the control of the select board, you mean they're the agents to expend?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, if I think
And so-
I could actually pull up the language for it, I think
So I mean, ultimately, it's whatever is in the warrant and was within the intent of the voters when they established that fund that's controlling as to what's a permissible expenditure.
It's been accumulating for years now. I don't know when the warrant article passed. I think 2019, possibly.
2003 or 4.
Yeah, it goes way back to about 04, somewhere around there.
And this is a revolving fund?
I believe so.
Is there certain revenues from a certain fund are getting put immediately
I think
into
it
there?
was rec department activities, going to the Red Sox game, going to the casino, going to the Cape, where the money received exceeded the expenditures.
Okay.
Self-supporting activities.
yeah, I don't think that's what people are saying now. That's
'Cause
not
there's been some-
not what the warrant said.
I know there were some line items that have been pulled out of the recreation budget that now go through the revolving fund. Like
Okay.
things like baseball, things like that used to be part of the budget,
Okay, so
That's
now it's
the-
being funded by.
but through the revolving fund.
Revolving
So it's
fund.
used for things like that.
Okay. So, I mean, sometimes what you can do in the context of a revolving fund where the revenues are exceeding the expenditures and you're having sort of a snowballing accumulation of funds is what some municipalities do is they'll have a subsequent warrant article to go in and amend that authorization so that instead of all revenues from this source going into the fund, you have a percentage now that'll go into it. You see that all the time with various types of funds. You see that with conservation funds too. You see it quite frequently, for example, your LUCT fund. Instead of 100% of land use change tax monies that are going to be going into the LUCT fund, maybe it's only 50%. Why? Because you got an accumulating fund, not a lot of conservation lands left, and so you don't want to park cash in there that's not going to be used. And so you can get creative with how you handle that, but often that goes to the town meeting as to how much are we going to restrict it
Or take out.
or take it. Well, yeah, what you could do is. If you wanted to dissolve the fund, what you do is you need a town meeting vote to dissolve it. The money goes to the unassigned fund balance or the general fund, and you could actually have a subsequent warrant article that raises and appropriates and repurpose it.
Yep.
Usually it's a 2-article solution.
Yeah, we've done that before for
Yeah.
other things.
They're quite common.
Yep. Okay.
Point of information.
Of course.
If you're not a member of this board, do you need to get a vote to sit at the table?
What do you mean?
Yeah. To sit in the budget committee?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you have to be elected a member or appointed if there's a vacancy.
Oh.
Oh, you're going back to yeah, go ahead.
I didn't know. Is Mr. Coy speaking tonight, right?
Oh, I think he's speaking. He's not, he doesn't have a voting right tonight.
Yeah, I'm not voting, but you have you have 2 members right from the selectmen. Tonight Tyler's going to be it, and I'm here because Jay isn't.
You have Tyler and you have Mr. DeRoche.
Right, but he couldn't make it tonight, so I
Are you
came to
allowed to
make it
appoint
instead
an
of him.
ex officio?
Right.
Are you? I don't know. I was a question because I didn't see it I just looked. I didn't
So
see
the
it.
question, Eric, is Jay DeRoche can't be here tonight, so we have one representative for the Board of Selectmen. So Bill Coy, who's the chair of the Board of Selectmen, is filling in for Jay. Tyler is the
Voting member, because I'm the alternate. He's serving as the alternate for the evening. He has no voting right here. He's just here as a selectman.
In terms of at the table, it's not, you're not going to find anything in the statute about being at the table. In terms of him sitting there, he's not at the table, he's at a different table.
Okay, no, so I can just show. I can
smaller
I can go to the Board of Selectmen meeting and sit down.
You can sit down over there, sure.
Yeah. I know he can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course you can.
Yeah.
You can sit in
But I
that.
can sit there.
What's that?
But I can sit there too.
I'm not going to answer that.
I was just
I
asking.
mean, look, I'm here for legal purposes. I'm not going to perpetuate anything like that.
All right. No,
But I would say
it's a fair question based on policy. That's all.
The question really is, and the legal question, it depends upon what the internal practices are of the select board as it relates to.
And I'm not saying I have an issue with this. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying as a policy, like this town has policy, and a lot of the times they just skirt it. So like it's not like I have an issue with you sitting there, Mr. Coy. I'm just saying that like when you have policy in place, you have a alternate and a ex officio member that are appointed to a board, then those are the members that go to that board. And I'm not saying I have an issue with it, but like I find it a little odd that unless we're talking about something that is here, then I think the seat should be over there. That's all. It's a policy issue.
All right, I'll defer to the Board of Selectmen on that. I don't know what your policy is, so nor do I need to know at this point. Any other questions for Eric while he dedicated the time to come down and see us tonight?
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I had one. Sometime a lot of talk gets talked about, like if a certain department brings in revenue, that they want to cut their budget by the revenue. Should that, like say, for instance, the police department brings in this is not true, but say they bring in $100,000 for tickets and their budget is X, and then someone's like, oh, well, they bring in $100,000 worth of revenue, so we're going to cut their budget by $100,000.
You still need to appropriate the money to authorize the expenditure in that sum. The revenue is just reported as offsetting against the amount you have to raise through taxation. You still need to raise a gross amount by and through appropriation. So, for example, if you had a program and it costs a rec program, might be a good example, right? You have a rec program absent the revolving fund piece. Let's just treat it as non-existent. And it costs $10,000 to operate. You would need to, but you anticipate getting, say, $5,000 by and through fees and et cetera. You still need to raise and appropriate the full 10 grand in your budget on a gross basis. But when you're reporting for the purposes of setting the tax rate, you're reporting appropriations and anticipated revenues. There's usually a line as to 5,000 from non-tax related revenues. So that way DRA knows, all right, this is the amount you're authorized to raise and appropriate on a gross basis. But this is the amount you actually need to raise through taxation, as opposed to, out of that highway, I'll use another example, road maintenance. Yeah. You're going to get a good chunk of cash from the highway block grant program. That's revenue. But if you are going to get, $5 million out of highway block grant, but you have a $10 million road budget, we got a big town, let's say, with really bad roads, you still need to raise the full amount, even though you're going to get highway block grants. It's the same for grants, other sources of revenues, et cetera, anticipated funds.
Okay, thank you.
Just to provide, a little context, or maybe riff off that a little bit.
Sure.
But the requirement in terms of putting together a budget, we have to, this committee has to do it on, when we say a gross basis, we have to be able to, talk about what we're going to appropriate, but we also need to be able to explain or provide, revenues, transparency on revenues, fees, grants, and things like that. Right. So, something like, let's say, transportation, where there is a DOT grant. All right. We're not saying that, the DOT grant is somehow offsetting something, but, we need to know that there's a DOT grant that's coming into a highway. And I guess from a budget committee perspective, I guess it's important to know that DOT grant's being used for things that are associated with the budget items. So if you're saying that we're paving the roads, it's good to know that you're using DOT grant information to pave roads in the context of asking what you're asking the taxpayers to appropriate, right? I guess there's one thing. There's a requirement to report on a gross basis, which is,
you're not going to reduce your appropriation.
Right. We're not reducing anything, but I'm just saying in terms of presenting a budget, all right, you can't just present a budget saying this is how much we want without also presenting it in terms of revenues, fees, and grants and things like that. This is what we have right now.
That's oftentimes in the budget forms that get submitted to DRA. Okay. You'll have that information typically reflected in the budget forms themselves. And some municipalities actually adopt a requirement. I'm not sure Plastow is one of these, estimated tax impacts. I'm not sure, does Plastow have that? Estimated tax impact of each warrant article?
No.
Okay, well, it is an option under the Municipal Budget Act to have that. Well, in order to calculate that, of course, you need to know what your anticipated revenues are, because the tax impact is going to be the amount that's raised and appropriated through taxation, as opposed to any other source.
That's good. I'm not opposed to that. I don't know how we make that happen.
It's usually a warrant article that requires identifying the estimated tax impact.
We can create a warrant article for that. I don't mind. Go ahead, Nolan.
Would it be out of pocket for the budget committee to ask for the budgets to be presented in the way they go forward to the DRA?
Presented.
I don't know if have you seen these budgets?
No, I'm not.
No, you can look. Yeah, right. So I'm just asking would it be out of, I'm guessing that's not what you submit to the DRA.
I mean, those are just line items, sort of summarize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that where you turn into the GRA?
Subject to check. These are more detailed than what goes to GRA.
Well, surprised.
Subject to check.
You're welcome to see what's submitted to DRA.
A lot of the times it's required to be posted on along with the warrant when delivered.
Thank you.
As a follow-up to that question, if a town manager says in a public, select meeting, there's a Excel file that each department manager uses to develop the budget, it then gets put into that format. Would that Excel sheet be public information if it's already existing and was used to develop that budget? Should that be something that one, the public should have, but also, more importantly, the budget committee should have if they request it?
Should I answer that? Do you want me to?
I'll ask the same question.
I'm not
Cases. Sure. The reason I ask is usually I don't take members' questions from members of the audience.
I appreciate it, I'll give you 20 usually.
This one's on the house. Generally speaking, if it is a record that exists in electronic file, it would be subject to 91.
I appreciate your time and patience tonight, Eric.
Oh, my pleasure.
We have to increase the legal fees, but now by $500 or so.
I live 2 towns over. It's not
yeah.
that bad.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate your time and your patience answering all the questions and uncertainties that we had.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Happy to help.
Thank you. All right, so back to the budgets. The first budget we have tonight is the general government building budget.
Just point of order,
I'm sorry, yeah,
Mr. Chair. Do we want to move the public comment, to the front, maybe, as opposed
I
to
was
waiting?
going to break at 8 to bring on public comment, so we can get through the budget, therefore if they have any comments about particular budgets.
So you want to wait until 8 o'clock for the public comment? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I was planning, that's what we've done the last 2 nights. But
I'm just saying for the public, if they,
do you guys,
I would prefer,
before?
yeah.
All right.
you can do whatever you want, you're the chair, so.
No, I appreciate it. No, so I don't want these guys waiting around all night. I thought we can get any benefit out of this. If one of you want to speak, take your few minutes now, and I don't know if,
I'm just here to talk about the budget. I'm not planning.
okay, I don't know if we're going to get to that tonight, but you're more than welcome to stay.
Right, well, I really don't have much to say unless it's
Okay.
about the planning board budget.
That's why I appreciate you being here.
Excuse me, Doug. Could I please be excused for a few minutes to run downstairs?
Of course.
Thank you. I apologize.
So I've submitted many RTKs, so here's a pile of some that haven't been responded
Thank you.
from the town. Submitted a pile more today. We'll submit a pile more every day or thereabouts. I thankfully have lots of meetings that I have to be a fly on the wall, so I can write RTKs during them. It's great. The intent of this, of submitting the RTKs is to, I've been watching these meetings and noticed that many questions are being asked about information and the information is not being provided to this committee. And I think that's unfortunate. And, quite frankly, from my perspective, and maybe I'm wrong, this committee is intended to be a check and balance in government to review in detail and have spirited discussion as necessary about details of budgets and not budgets in summary fashion that don't show any requisite detail to have really any substantive conversation. And quite frankly, watching the budget committee meetings and watching the Board of Selectmen review of the budget, it's all Unfortunately, there's nothing productive happening across the board other than rushing to vote and voting for it, knowing that there's a block that's going to vote yes regardless. And I guess my appeal to this committee is that while you all may or may not be in a financial position to be able to afford your property taxes, there are plenty of members of our public that are silent, that instead of me drinking a seltzer here, they might be drinking themselves with alcohol beverages, knowing or struggling to understand when they can make, or if they're going to be able to make their property tax payment, because their property taxes continue to go up every year. And yet we just rubber stamp, we don't ask questions, we approve increases on the regular across the board. It's not just here, it's at the school board, even worse at the school board. We have $10 million budget increases on that side as well. Taxes right now between the school board and this body, or whatever we want to call it, everyone's taxes are going up $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, whatever it is, if all this stuff goes through. And to review these budgets and push them through without spirited conversation and digging into the details, and for the town to not provide the details to the RTKs that I'm requesting to get details. It's not that I want to see the details for me personally. I want to provide them to you all because you're not getting them. And you can't have a debate without detail. It's just the way it is. And, I ask that you all think about those people that, and there's a lot of them, that can't afford to live in this town anymore. Our taxes, understand yours may have gone down. Congratulations.
It's going up over time too,
But
and then some.
But the reality is most people's taxes have gone up and gone up significantly. And we have a board and town department heads that want new stuff all the time, even if it's not really necessary to replace things. We have, highway department truck. It looks better than most of the trucks I drive, except my new one. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to have that. But trucks and vehicles are running and driving. We should fix them. There are plenty of small business owners around here that are patching, keeping their vehicles patched together so that they can afford to feed their families, and struggling to, make ends meet and doing the best they can. Yet the expectation from our department heads is that we drive shiny new things and we change, wraps on things so they look prettier and such, all at the expense of those people that maybe can't even afford to pay their taxes, let alone other life expenses. So, I am appealing to you all to compel the department heads to provide the detailed information so that you can all review it and discuss it and make these meetings productive. And in the end, if you vote the same way, you vote the same way. But it just seems like we know we have a block of people that's going to vote yes regardless, so we don't need to go into that detail because the end result's going to be the same, so don't really care. I think there was an unfortunate comment last week, something about burning wood.
Yeah.
I mean, wood's $400 a cord. It's not any less expensive unless you have a wood lot.
Which I do.
Okay.
I simply made a point.
Fantastic. I'm not saying that.
He was speaking how people were doing different things to make ends meet,
Mm-hmm.
and I spoke up and I contributed and said, I burn wood. With that said, an individual, won't say any names, put it on Facebook that I suggested that everybody in town burn wood.
No, I watched the
So-
meeting. I heard your comment. That's not the reason I bring it up. All I'm saying is we all in our personal, at least for me, no matter how much money I make, and honestly, I'm focusing on making more currently because I have to pay taxes. So, but regardless, I am very efficient with every dollar that I have, to a fault at times. My biggest expense is property taxes and federal taxes.
I can't control federal tax.
And unlike town employees, most of us don't have a golden parachute at the end of our careers where we're going to be, our lives are going to be paid for by the tax base until we die.
Understood.
And I grew up in a family of the same. My dad was a municipal employee, and I think a lot of times people focus on, we don't get paid a lot, but, he's collected probably, I don't know, he's been retired for 10, 15 years. He's probably collected close to $1 million in retirement now that people don't take into consideration. So for me, I don't have a golden goose egg at the end. My golden goose egg is saving money now and being efficient with my money. And I expect that this town and the Timberlane District does the same. And I expect that this budget committee digs into the details and has a debate about the details instead of glossing over it and just voting to approve so they can go home in a timely manner. These meetings should take a long time. They should have lots of back and forth, lots of detailed discussion. But frankly, I don't see that. And I mean, it's unfortunate because that's your job.
I know.
And if we don't want to do the job, let somebody else do it.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Appreciate your point. And I'll just slight rebuttal. We did put 2 of the budgets on hold until we had additional information. Those are the department heads. So we've only passed about 8 budgets on the year so far. This is our 4th meeting. So we're not just whizzing through it. Mr. Kane, do you have anything to say at this point? Do you want to wait for now? Since you're here.
Since I'm here. No, it's my understanding that you wanted me here tonight.
No, I'm sorry. I don't know if we're going to get to
Prepare.
the planning board tonight, but you can speak.
No, I mean, I'm prepared to do it your schedule. I'm not here to tell you
My
that.
apologies. I thought I communicated after this meeting, we would review your planning board.
Okay, then I didn't see that.
My
I'm
apologies.
sorry.
I thought-
No,
I
no.
sent an email yesterday because my next meeting, I want to have rec, if there's a rec department head and the fire department here.
Then that's fine. That's fine. I live right down the street. It's not that bad. But I am prepared to present the planning board's budget when you guys would like me to present it.
Not at this point, only to be fair to my committee. I haven't shared it with everybody.
Okay,
So if you do a presentation, we don't have the numbers in front of us, it's kind of
Okay.
doing us a disservice to make an educated decision.
no, I get it. But you do have everything I sent you.
Yes, I do.
Nothing's changed.
Okay. No, it's in the queue, first in, first out.
Okay.
Sorry, I appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Thank you for your time, Dan. Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman, I make a motion to, those right-to-knows that were presented by
Right here, yep.
Mr. LeBrecq to be adopted by the Budget Committee and just sort of, will amplify what those requests are. I mean, I want the subject matter, okay, how do I want to propose it? I move that the subject matter of the right-to-knows that were presented to us, that we're examining, be part of a request by this Budget Committee to be provided that information.
No, I haven't read them in thorough. We can submit them. I'm sure if the information,
I'll second it.
yeah, I'm sure if the information is available, it'll be made available.
Well, it's a
Okay.
motion and a second.
Do we have any discussion?
The only discussion is I noticed that there's a contact information and the form seems to be a bit incomplete, so that could delay the RTK response. So we need to ensure that these forms
The
are,
originals are all with the town.
okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
I want to, I would love to see that information. That's why I'm seconding this motion. So that's my discussion.
Okay. We could put it to vote, all in favor of the proposal, if you want it. So the proposal is, I'm not sure, some of you haven't seen the proposal. Margot, for example, hasn't seen the proposal. Ryan submitted some right to knows, and Mr. Richard Anthony and Nolan want to try to obtain that information.
For the Budget Committee. Yeah, so I mean, I think they're all reasonable.
Well, I mean, us as a committee, not, yeah.
As a committee as a whole, I think it's reasonable. And, And I think if, a citizen put them in and it's, sort of germane to what this committee does, then this committee should have it.
Following the right to know procedures, I don't disagree with you.
I'm not, but it's more than a right to know. That's a right to know, but I want the budget committee. The budget committee
I
as a
agree.
body
I
is
understand.
asking for that information.
Okay. So all in favor of the proposal by Mr. Anthony? Any opposed?
Same thing.
All right,
What's the role?
it was, did you get the count?
I only saw Kate against it.
I was the only one against.
Okay. All right, now finally onto the general government budget, building budget. The proposed budget for this year is $27,500.
No.
General government building.
430, it's page 14, it's 430.
My apologies.
No, it's okay. $435,160.
Do you see that?
Yeah, and last year was 400.
427 to 540.
Okay, I'm off the column. Yeah, 427. So it's a small increase of $8,000.
I move to reduce the general government building budget by $5,000.
50,000?
$5,000.
I want more.
Oh, you want more? All right.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it. We can talk about it.
Why $5,000?
Oh, discussing. All right. So probably more to bring it in line with 2025. I don't think that we should be doing any. We shouldn't be doing any budget increases. I think in the face of inflation, everyone got their tax bill. Their tax bill's going up, and I think we owe it to the citizens to not be increasing budgets. So, so if you're not going to level fund it, I would even say cut it more. But I mean, just for the sake of argument, I'll say, level fund it.
May I ask a question in regards to this budget? It says, do we have actuals to the current date of, at least November on this? Because in September, we were at $237,812.70, and we had budgeted $427,540 for a difference of $189,728 still on that account. So I'm just curious where we are currently. I'm going off of what's on page 14.
I don't have those numbers currently with me, nor is October reconciled at this point. So I do not going to put out numbers that until I reconcile the month of October to update.
Do you think we'll come into budget?
Yes, I do.
So in a period of
3 months or so.
3 months, we're going to spend $189,000 where we've already only spent $237,000, almost $238,000 the rest of the year. What would be the?
Well, first of
What would
all,
be
I
the-
caution you by saying through September is 9 months, as Doug will attest. This is primarily a cash basis, if you will, and at the end of the year, we do accrue. So this is really only 8 months because December would have been accrued back
Okay.
to the previous year. So it's
I'm
really,
fine with working with 8 months, Mr. Colby, because that's still like two-thirds of the year. So I'm just curious what we're going, if a 2/3 of the year is 237,000, we're going to spend, so we could just basically cut that in half, right? There's nothing for the last third?
as I stated before, I have not reconciled through October yet. So the numbers will change.
Do you find the expenses are pretty flat throughout the year, or do you find those additional expenses during certain periods?
there are additional expenses depending on when we do, like in this instance, we do, septic tank pumping before the winter. I know I just approved a $7,500 bill that got paid this week for instance. So there are expenses that are, may happen before winter or at the end of, summertime and the like.
Let's also include utilities too, like propane, electric,
That is correct.
which are typically more in December, November.
And I'm
$200,000.
also working with, we had an issue with the Unitil invoices that I'm trying to work with Unitil on figuring out where things went wrong on their end, so.
So is this something that maybe we should table until we have some actual numbers, or? I mean, you're requesting 435,000, right? And, again, September actuals are 237,000.
Yes.
Right, so, I mean, to Mr. Pelletier's point, are we anticipating $200,000 worth of expenditures before the end of the year?
I mean, if everything is even somewhat level, it's like we're really gonna end up at the levels of 2024, probably even less than 383,000. So I think taking that off is nothing burger, in my opinion.
Yeah, so the 24 actual is 383,000, slightly under budget.
Well, yeah.
What do you mean slightly under budget?
18,000 under budget.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're asking for 435,000, right?
I'm just pointing out the shortage, the variance last year, Rich.
Right. Well, yeah, but then we added, we budgeted for 427,000 and we've only spent 237.
Yeah, but it's not year-to-date, it's only through August.
Well, year today was when the report was ran.
Correct.
You're up to speed now.
Right, but Greg, you're comfortable that we're gonna
We're gonna
spend as
spend
budgeted?
$200,000.
Thereabouts.
You
I
betcha.
don't know of anything that would change that is significant.
Any further discussion?
Could we possibly receive a list of deferred maintenance list and what those timelines are for expected repairs? Because it does seem like there's a number of line items that are continuous for repairs. And I just want to make sure we're not just kicking the can down the road and we're getting things done when we need to get them done.
Is deferred maintenance items or?
Correct. Or just a general deferred maintenance list and timelines to repair and those estimated costs. Please and thank you.
I can speak to the maintenance supervisor about that.
May I ask another? In regards to the service contracts, are these perpetual contracts or are we reviewing the terms and conditions, and are there any performance matrix into these contracts? Is there anything, or are we just renewing just for the sake of renewing, or do we actually have lockdown pricing? For example, you mentioned the sewage, right? So if we entered into a 3-year agreement, could we get better pricing from that vendor instead of doing an annual pricing?
I know some of them are, year to year, and, a maintenance supervisor will usually analyze them based on if there's any price increases or not. So I will ask.
Thank you.
More detail on that.
All right, any further discussions?
One more, if I may.
Yes, Larry.
In regards to the LED conversions and the solar agreements that we're doing on the facilities, have we seen any ROI in those investments, and what is the plan on the continuation of that project? And I know there's a motion on the table now, but I would like to motion to
I'm all for
defer
getting
this.
information. I'm not gonna.
After that motion, I'm going to motion to defer this budget line until we get some more information.
I'll retract my motion if you want to just go along with that.
I will withdraw my second. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So Larry, you want to make a motion?
So I'd like to motion to defer this budget proposal until we receive further information, particularly around the projects and repairs, capital projects, including the solar panels, the LED light conversions, in the contractual agreements.
Just a point of information,
Yes,
do you
sir.
think at the next meeting, Mr. Colby, we'll have numbers for October?
That's 2 weeks, right?
I'm sure I will have this.
Thank you.
A second, Mr. Glenn.
Okay, any further discussion in regards to Larry's motion? All right, all in favor of Larry's motion to defer voting on this budget until we have additional information? Okay, any opposed? Good, thank you, guys.
Can I add, following up the primary, the biggest solar project that we did was the LED light,
The street lighting.
which is not part of this budget.
Understood. Thank you.
It's a separate, yeah.
It's a separate. And the second largest is probably the solar on the highway garage, which this is reflected with the lower cost.
And would you happen to know if there's an ROI on that and what we've saved since that conversion?
I would have to go back and put that.
Thank you.
I know there is a savings, Jay's spoken on it a few times about the savings over time. I don't know what the actual math is, but I know Jay's spoken on it.
Did Jay say anything?
Well, he said,
Spoke about it. I mean, it's,
well, he said there's been a savings over time and the budget line's coming down for expenditures in regards to electrical and such.
yeah, if there's any detail
I don't.
associated with that
The
discussion.
numbers were presented when he spoke. I don't recall what the numbers were.
No, I didn't see anything.
And for all intents purposes, if the ROI is good, we should be putting money towards that project to get that long run investment. So
So that's great. The next budget on the agenda is insurance. So insurance, last year was approved for 209. This year it's up to 224,000. I think we have limited options as a town, correct, Greg, to purchase liability insurance?
Correct.
We have one or two people, two options in the state at best.
One that I'm aware of.
So kind of, it is what it is.
Make a motion to approve the insurance budget of $224,000.
Second.
Any discussion on the insurance budget?
I guess the only question I have is I assume that all municipal vehicles are covered by this insurance policy, correct?
Correct.
So, I mean, in terms of like if they crash something or whatever, or involved in a crash, this covers that, right?
That's
Okay.
correct.
All right. What's this? We have two ambulances, right? Or should, correct?
Correct.
All right. Are both of them functional or?
No, they're not.
Okay. What's the status of the one that's not functional?
It's being repaired
All right. When was it out of service?
in May.
All right. So, I mean, is it totaled? I mean, May to November?
It's at the manufacturer being evaluated currently.
Do we have an anticipated?
No.
Okay. Was it?
The fire chief contacts them on a weekly basis.
Okay.
So,
In terms of, without going into the details of it, is our insurance affected by that? Whether or not it's is it contemplate fault? I mean, like if I crash a car and someone says it's my fault, my insurance goes up.
I mean, I can't answer that. I know that we weren't at fault in this, and I know the insurance carrier is actively pursuing the person that has been labeled at fault.
No, that's exactly what I want to hear. Thank you.
All right. If there's no further discussion, all in favor of the insurance budget as proposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Next budget on the agenda is cable. Cable last year was 36,400. This year it's 36,500. I think the only thing that went up is the dues and subscriptions.
Make a motion to approve the cable budget for $36,500.
I'll second that.
Any discussion in regards to the cable budget? All in favor as the budget as proposed? Any opposed? Any negatives? The next budget for on the agenda is conflict of interest.
It's level funded.
Last year the budget was 250, this year's 250.
Make a motion to approve the conflict of interest of $250.
Second that.
Second, any discussion?
Is the Office of Conflict of Interest, is that filled?
I think one of the positions is. I'm not sure if Greg or Bill. I know all three are not filled. I don't know if there's
Can't
one.
operate with one.
So you can't can you operate with one?
I don't know if there's one or two. I don't know.
I think it's, I'm not, I think it's only one. But I'm not definitive. I think that last.
I know it's at least one. I don't know if it's more than that or not. I know every year it's on the ballot, nobody runs.
There's only one listed on the website.
So the only thing that's in this budget is
Supplies and PO box.
supplies and PO box. I don't know what supplies we would have. There's no operations happening.
So, I mean, even if it was an operating entity, I mean, what, I mean, just, I guess I'm just sort of interested, like, what does it do? Like, let's pretend you got three people and then some magic mail shows up in the inbox, about a conflict of interest. What happens?
Would you like me to get Therese here to explain that? I'm not sure what the inner workings of the conflict of interest committee are. The ordinances are on the website for your review. You can do that, or we can ask her to come if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, I could look at the ordinances. If she wants to come and talk, I mean, maybe she wants to bemoan the fact that she doesn't have a quorum of any kind to do anything.
Yeah.
You can bring some, next meeting or something, conflict of interest person comes, draws attention to it,
I can,
helps out the town. Right.
Yeah, we can make a motion to have her here for
I
250. I don't know.
think you,
I can just send her an email and
What is that going to accomplish with the budget, though?
we want to have farcical budgets that don't do anything. I guess that's what I'm saying. I mean, if it's a budget that doesn't do anything, what are we doing? So.
Okay.
Right.
We have a motion on the floor, so I understand your point, but.
Sure.
Let's hope some people step up and run for the position.
Are we required to have a conflict of interest board or?
I think it was put on by warrant.
So we need to.
It's probably established by warrant and, in the ordinances, so it would need to have a warrant to dissolve it if you felt that you wanted to remove.
I mean, think of it as this, I sat on it for a very short period of time. I had to step down to be an alternate on the planning board, but it's basically an advisory board. It has absolutely no teeth. They have a procedure that they follow, but it really, they write their recommendation and then it's handed over to the selectmen. So it's basically an advisory board for a conflict. And I don't want to speak out of turn, but like even when I was on there, I got frustrated because we actually had something come through and we failed to act in a timely manner. So it was, but that's all I have to say about conflict of interest.
Thank you.
So we could dissolve it if we chose. Well,
I think it would have to be done by
to
warrant.
dissolve it.
I'm not sure, but we could ask Mr. Cleary, but I think it'd have to be done by warrant.
Yeah, I agree. Any other discussion on the conflict of interest budget as it's proposed? All in favor of the budget? Any opposed? Any abstain? The next budget is other general government building, which is page 20.
Telephone.
Telephone, internet, and other infrastructure.
All right, I move to reduce general government by the budget by 25,000.
I will second that.
Any discussion on the proposal?
Why 25,000?
Because we don't want to increase the budget. Everyone got their tax bills, but this is not an $11,000+ town, okay? And
What are we
you know,
cutting though?
What's that?
What are we cutting with the 25?
It's a bottom line budget. Who cares? 25,000. And if you have important things that you need to fund in the budget, you go and fund those things. If you have things that are luxuries, and by luxuries, I mean, you know, full rhetorical prejudice, things that you don't necessarily need to do. All right. So, you know, plow the roads. And if you overdraw the plowing budget line, overdraw it. And other things don't get funded.
But related to this budget, though, I'm saying.
No.
With the
It's just
phones,
$25,000 off.
Add the backup, so we just want to cut.
It's a bottom line. It's a bottom line
Trying
budget.
to understand.
Yeah, bottom line
Do you
budget.
want to table this budget until we can get more granularity and then we can go through the whole thing? Because
So I do have some questions, and I was actually going to motion to delay this one because I do see some conflicting information that's here. One, in line item ending in 341, it says security cameras at all locations, and we've been presented from the fire department and the police department that they have their own security camera systems. So
These are the
is
other.
that, those are the others?
Right, yes.
Because it says all locations, and so that's a little misleading. The other items that on here that are of interest are the IT hardware, IT software, and cybersecurity. I was curious if we can get a breakdown on the line items here. Given that there are a lot of cyber concerns, it would be in the public's best interest to understand what we're doing and how we're doing it. And bulking it into one line item for computer and internet is, to me, not a healthy posture to understand the cyber posture of our town records. The other item that I was going to bring up is in the MS4 stormwater, there is a waiting for next steps, and I was hoping to get clarification on what that actually means.
Under the PFAS, PFOA, we are currently doing a supplemental site investigation, and we are working with the engineers with that and waiting for state approval on, they will tell us what the next steps are. They will take a look at what the engineers have done and make recommendations of what those next steps are.
So the line item here would be the more of an estimated budget target for that line item?
This is for the MS4 stormwater. We have a separate engineer that monitors and what different departments do from runoffs, storm drain cleaning, you know, things with around the salt shed or the landfill. So that is a separate engineer that handles just the MS4. The PFOA, PFAS is a separate engineer that is just working on the analysis of the public safety building and the PFAS and PFOA contamination that was discovered up there.
Thank you for clarification.
Right, so if you want to make a motion,
He has
the
to.
first one.
Still, just to follow up on the PFA, PFOA. Is that resolved? I mean, we're not in current discussions with respect to the state with respect to PFAs and contamination and things like that around the safety complex, are we? I mean, that's resolved, is it?
We absolutely are. The engineer is currently working on the study.
Okay, so we're in the study phase. We're not, we haven't been, no one's assigned, sort of a canonical narrative with respect to the PFA contamination.
They have not named the town specifically as a cause of it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So we currently have a motion on the floor.
Did I motion it? I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay,
in
and Larry,
deference
do you want to make a motion?
I'd like to motion to,
withdraw my second.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to defer this budget of other general government until further information can be provided by the computer and internet line item.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Second.
And seconds, all in favor? Any opposed?
Yes.
So the next item will be streetlights, page 29. Thank you, Charlene, for numbering the agenda for me.
No, it helps a lot.
That's what that helps tremendously, so appreciate it. Last year's budget of 91,000, this year's budget of 85,000. And the decline is because of the LED lights, I believe, Greg?
Continued decline, yes. And as I had mentioned to the Board of Selectmen, with the tariffs that we are required to pay off, those will be coming off, and then the decline will be even more. So it's the residual cost of, the streetlights, the depreciable value that we're required to basically pay off if we're doing it on a monthly basis. So
When do you think they'll be paid off? 26?
I am not 100% sure, but it's.
Outside of this budget? Yes. It exceeds this budget calendar, okay.
I don't believe by too far, though. I think we're just about there.
You have like 18 months or so.
Let me see if I can dig out some information.
Mr. Colby, do you happen to know how many more fixtures are required to be upgraded and changed out, or are we complete?
No, it's complete.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion to approve the street lighting budget of $85,000.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nolan.
I was a motion to reduce this budget by $7,000.
Second. All right. Any discussion?
I'm looking at the year-to-date costs, and we're at 37,000, and that's even if we doubled that, even though we don't have more, we only have 1/3 of the year, we're at about 74,000. So I think that, knocking that down to 78,000 is a reasonable ask. And that, do we expect, I guess, Mr. Colby, do we expect to spend 37,000 in the last remaining months of this year on lighting? And if so, why?
As I explained earlier, the Unitil bills are not necessarily 8 months in here because of the trouble with their posting of some payments. So I have been on the phone with them a couple of times trying to iron that out. And so, yes, I would anticipate that will double.
Can I withdraw my motion? And I think I would like to do another motion to table this until we have the adequate information to.
I was going to point out that last year we spent 84,983. 23 was 84,610. 22 was 92,000.
To be fair, Tyler, I'm working off the budget that I'm handed. So I'm looking at numbers that are presented to me as the budget committee. So I can't work with imaginary numbers. If we have real numbers, I'm more than happy to work with them. So if we want to.
What is not real about this number?
We have year to date is 37,000. So that's what is presented to us right now. So we can go off priors, but we already said that we changed to LEDs. So maybe some of that is reflecting the cost savings of the LEDs. I do not know.
We're still paying back for the LEDs so that we own them, as you just.
All right, so we have so Nolan, you made a motion, correct?
I made a motion to reduce it by 7,000, but in all fairness, I think I was going to withdraw my motion because I think we should wait until we have adequate information to assess the budget.
Okay. And that being a more year-to-date, updated projection year-to-date?
Yeah.
That's the additional information.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm going off the numbers that were presented.
Okay.
So I have 37,000, so that's what is presented. If that's not what it is, I can't work with
That's fine.
unknown numbers, right? It's not an odd request.
Do we have a second? 1 second, Margo. Do we have a second for that motion?
He has to withdraw his second.
I'll withdraw my second.
The motion on the floor is to defer voting on
No,
this
the
budget
motion-
to have additional.
We had to withdraw my first.
The motion was to reduce it by 7,000.
And then I said that's not fair because we don't have adequate information. So he's withdrawn, and my new motion is to table this until we have adequate numbers to actually assess this budget.
I'll second that.
Okay. Now, discussion?
Well, I had a question for Mr. Colby. So I know there's been an ongoing problem. I don't know exactly what it is with Unitel messed up some billing and you've been trying to get it squared away. Yes, if we table this, what are the chances we're gonna get real numbers? If they've messed up and you're fighting to fix things, what are the chances we're gonna get real numbers to update the material that's in front of us? It's kind of not in your control, but we need to have some.
So we should just vote on it? Is that
That's
what you're
not what I
saying?
said, and if.
I'm asking a question. Oh, you're still going?
She's asking if he'll have information by the next meeting
Oh, okay.
to vote
We
on it.
need to have more serious numbers. What are the percentages that you can get them moving along?
So it doesn't hurt, so
I can't answer that.
yeah, it doesn't hurt to table it, or to put it to vote, and then if he has information next, we're gonna have more than one meeting the rest of the year, so it doesn't matter. There's no rush. Any other discussion? All right, so we have a motion on the floor. All in favor of the proposed motion to table this budget? Do we have additional information? Okay, yeah, all opposed? Get that, Charlene? Next budget, solid waste collection, page 30. Yep. Proposed budget, $1,027,340. This is all contractual. We have no negotiation here, correct, Greg?
Correct.
And the services are currently up for bid, from what I understand?
It is, the selectmen put it out to bid. We have received the bids. We've tabulated the bids and they've been presented individually to the selectmen to review the 4 bids.
Do you happen to know, Mr. Colby, if this includes the new state legislation of a $3.50 ton surcharge that will be applicable in 2026?
Was not aware of that. So no, it does not.
Okay.
But it won't be in this contract, it'll be in the future contract.
Well, it's state mandate next year. So
We
the
have
supplier's
there's an
gonna,
assigned committee that has been working on
the
this.
suppliers are gonna have to eat that cost if that's not in the contract.
Could you explain what you're?
Yeah,
So there was a law passed that's requiring a $3.50 per ton surcharge. I don't have the RSA, the article number, but that was one of the things that I noticed because I've been following our current supplier because I'm actually quite frustrated with their services. So I'm very interested personally on how this is going to go. And I just happened to come across an article the other day that there's this new law asking for this $3.50 surcharge per ton. So that has some implications on the bottom dollar that we're presenting here.
Well, if you could forward it to me,
Yeah, I can do that.
So the article's
Thank you.
asking for it. Has it been passed?
It has been passed.
Do you know when it's effective?
I believe it's January 1.
Okay, so it's calendar year.
So what's the potential ramifications of that? Is it, I mean, who's charging the $3.50 per ton?
Is it a state
It's the
tax?
state tax.
All right, so the state, it's a tax on whatever, okay.
Do we know how much tonnage we produce as a town roughly?
Of municipal solid waste, there was about 3,000 tons last year.
$10,000.
Which is about $10,500.
But it's a bottom line budget, so if we have to pay it, it's gonna come out of somewhere else. We're not gonna increase this budget for that surcharge.
That means $1 million.
Well, welcome to my side.
Yeah, it goes both ways. I'm fair.
I make a motion to approve the solid waste collection of $1,027,340.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do you have any further discussion? All in favor of as the proposed budget is for the waste contract? Any opposed? I was watching Charlie do head count. So the next budget is solid waste disposal and landfill, page 31. Proposed budget is 38,500. That is a decrease of 500 over last year.
I may be off, can I ask a question? I may be off point on this, but last election cycle, we had a petition to grant the selectmen the right to basically lease the land. Is that these landfills to a solar company?
Yeah, I believe this is right. Yeah.
And would that bring in additional revenue? And if that's the case, where would that actually be? Is that this?
The revenue would be on the revenue side of things, not on the appropriation side.
So, okay, so if this, do you have that revenue handy, or do you want me to go find my sheet in my?
We have not finalized an agreement with
Okay.
the company yet, and it will be, at least 1 to 2 years before the town realizes revenue on that.
Okay.
Fair question. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the solid waste disposal / landfill budget of $38,500.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I guess my question is, what's happening between the end of August and December that's going to,
Engineering aspect?
well, consume,
Yep.
$10,000, $20,000?
Well, the landfill is open every weekend for the month of November, so there's overtime being paid, and we'll have engineering to do water testing and landfill testing on the borings out there.
Yeah, when you say engineering, someone's just collecting a sample. It's like, I mean, I assume that you're talking about like monitoring wells or something like that, right?
Correct.
So they're just taking a water sample and sending it to some laboratory to do a test on?
I believe that there's more to it than just a water sample.
All right, any other discussion? We have a motion on the floor. All in favor to pass the budget as is proposed? Any opposed? Any abstain? Next budget on the agenda is health, page 32. Last year, the budget was $103,000. This year, it's $73,550, decrease of $30,000.
And to note that decrease is the split in the permanent position there that was then split with
So
five.
that after goes to fire.
Yep.
I guess if we,
Yep, go ahead.
you split the health inspector, correct? So that budget previously was around $60,000, and there was a deputy health inspector. So we've now cut that salary in half. Does that mean that they're going to do half the work?
No, that position also fills shifts over at the fire department and is able to piggyback and do the work while covering shifts as well. So it's a shared position. Deputy chief over there is assigned the health department duties.
So he's to assign those duties. So he's getting $30,000 from the fire department to do those duties, and $30,000 from health budget to do those duties.
Basically, I would say yes.
So wouldn't that all fall under health?
He's not working full-time in health, correct? He's splitting his time.
So he's working
Part-time in both
part-time in both
positions.
places.
Yeah.
So this was always a part-time position.
I don't
with a full-time salary
historically. I don't know.
And benefits?
and benefits.
I don't.
It has
No,
been-
I'm-
it has been historically, I don't know. I mean,
Well, I'm just asking because I don't know. It's just confusing to me because if this job can be done for $30,000 as a part-time position, and previously we needed a deputy, now we can do it for half the cost and less manpower.
I think it was more the realization that the time was being spent with fire. So in order to be more granular and separate salaries, they did half here and half theirs to represent where the time is being spent.
So historically, there's downtime and stuff in the fire department.
I believe that
But-
was
Historically,
a lot of the-
we had health covering fire.
correct. And because that half of that time was being spent there,
I'd like to make a motion to defer this budget till we get a combined view of the health and fire staffing to confirm the level of services and to confirm the pay and benefits of this individual.
I second it.
Okay, any discussion on the proposal?
Yeah, just a question with respect to, is there some, I mean, with respect to the health inspector, is there some sort of memorandum of understanding that has some sort of expiration date on it with respect to us being sort of a self-inspecting municipality? I'm just curious. I mean, because if in the event that we don't have somebody that's inspecting, doing food inspections and things like that, then it would default to the state. Right? I mean, I know that we've heard something saying that, a couple meetings back, that it would take like years to get a license if you were opening a restaurant. I don't subscribe to that point of view, but is that the case that there's, we have to renew something in 2026 or to be self-inspecting?
Yes.
There is a memorandum of understanding that I believe is required. I believe it was done by a town meeting vote, so I think in order to become a non-self-inspecting, it would need a warrant to do that as well. But I would have to research that.
If I remember, you voted, the selectmen, this was previously, they did it through the board to update the memorandum of understanding. Was it done by warrant? Because I don't remember that.
To be a self-inspecting community, you're talking, the Board of Selectmen is the Board of Health. So if there is a memorandum of understanding, they would be the ones approving it. But the actual, a town being self-inspecting, I believe it's done through town meeting warrant.
Do we know when we became a self-inspecting town?
No, to be fair, we have a motion to table this.
Well,
So we
we're
can-
discussing.
Discussing it.
No,
right?
that's fine, but we can ask the questions and revisit all of it once assuming it passes.
No, I mean, it's on my mind right now. So
go ahead, I'm sorry, I didn't mean
I
to-
definitely want to get it out because if we table it, that's fine. But
No, go ahead.
I'm asking the question right now because I'd actually like to know the answer. So,
Okay. If anybody knows, I don't know.
I don't know. I'd have to research it and find an answer.
okay.
Do we happen to know if the inspection and response times are documented and are they improving at all? And is that the trajectory of this new role?
Again, I would have to inquire of the health inspector.
Because I think it's my understanding, the majority of state municipalities and unincorporated entities are not self-inspecting. All right, and it's we might be one of like 15.
Yes.
And then the 15 that were that cohort that we're in is municipalities like Salem.
Exeter, Portsmouth.
Nashua, Manchester,
Yeah, I mean, so we're not that. So I mean, I'm just not for nothing, but I think we seriously should think about why are we doing it. I mean, are we tip of the spear, and the 200 or so other municipalities and unincorporated entities are like behind us?
We have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor of tabling the health department budget until we have additional information? Any opposed? Any abstained? The next one on the agenda for tonight is human services. Last year, that budget was $46,187. This year, it's the same number, level funded. It's page 33.
Sir, just a question.
Go ahead, Nolan.
Were there any open positions? I know we had someone retired and they were working remotely. Are they still doing that? With HR,
For the welfare,
Yeah.
human services?
human services. Well, the welfare human services, the human services budget doesn't include any salaries or anything. It's only those items that are paid to outside agencies. So I don't know how that's germane to this budget, but.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the human services budget of $46,887.
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor of the proposed budget for human services? Any opposed? Any abstained? Next budget is patriotic and culture, page 37. Last year's budget was $8,500. Proposed budget's $8,500.
Between now and the end of the year.
Does that include old homes too? Page 33.
What's happening between now and the end of the year that we're looking to? Well, I guess, why are we doubling the budget, almost?
Patriotic and culture.
From 28.5 to 38.5. The increases in the old home day portion of it for fireworks.
We didn't have to buy fireworks last year because they were rained out the previous year.
Use a revolving fund from recreation to buy it.
This isn't on the recreation budget.
I think we had reserves from the prior year, though, set aside for fireworks that we didn't use in '24, that carried over to '25.
Yeah, 24, probably 23 and 22 as well.
And you have reserve of fireworks that were just, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Board of Selectmen reduced this line item already, correct?
We reduced it by 5,000.
Thank you.
I move that the patriotic cultural budget be reduced to 28,500, the 2025 line item. What's that?
Would you repeat that?
I move that the patriotic and cultural budget be reduced to $28,500. That's the 2025 number.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Oh, where are we pulling that from?
It's using last year's budget.
Yeah, I'm looking at
So you just
2025.
you don't want the fireworks.
What's that?
You don't want the fireworks.
No, I think I think you're going to find that, if you want fireworks, you can get fireworks from anywhere else in the budget. But I'm thinking that you're going to find out that you can probably use it from the revolving fund. All right, just based on what that warrant was back when it was that's what the warrant says, and
Right,
it
but
says the
revolving
Board of
money and what-
Selectmen and the Rec Department are the commissioners of that fund.
Mhm.
So unless there's something else that comes back that says that they can't do that, that money's sitting there and you can buy fire. That's sort of a recreation thing, right? Fireworks look great.
Doesn't fall under, but if you
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if you're saying where can the money come from, I think there's a revolving account. So
which
for
is money in,
purposes of
money out.
this
You're just
budget,
taking money out.
but we're not. We're just reducing this budget. And then the Board of Selectmen can go buy fireworks using the
Board
revolving
of
fund.
Selectmen to 30,000, I believe.
30.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor of reducing the budget as proposed by Mr. Anthony? Any opposed? Any abstained? Last budget to review tonight is debt services.
You didn't
No,
vote on
we have to
budget.
approve the
You just
budget.
voted.
We didn't approve.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You just crushed my motion to reduce the budget, so.
I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's been a long day.
What's the true
38.5.
38.5?
Yeah,
38,500.
Take a motion to approve the patriotic and culture budget of $38,500.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor as the budget as proposed? Any abstained? Any opposed? The next budget is debt services. 39. And Greg, that is bond debt and other debt that we're legally obligated to pay
Correct.
based on amortization schedules.
Yes. For the fire truck and the public safety building.
Do you know how much longer we have to go on the public safety building?
Roughly 10 years.
Funny that.
These bonds 20 years, Greg?
No.
I know that the truck was 30 years, right?
30?
The safety complex was either 20 or 25, and I thought the truck was 15.
So I guess my question would be, are these numbers exact or are they being plussed up? I mean, they should be relatively exact.
They're exact, based on the debt service schedules that we received from the New Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank.
All right, so
So I make a motion to approve the debt services of $531,420.
Second that.
I'll second, okay.
Each of two.
I'll second.
Any discussion in regards to the debt service? And not to get up, well, I'll just add, this is part of the audit report. The auditors confirmed these numbers, factual.
we don't have the audit report.
All in favor of the budget as proposed? Any opposed? All right, thank you, guys. So we made it through all the budget, made it through the agenda tonight. We have a future stuff next week, or next time we meet. Any other old business, new business that anybody needs to discuss before we adjourn tonight? All right, well, we can end the meeting.
Oh, I was
at-
gonna say, just so you know, the maturity date on the public safety complex is 2045. And the
2045.
2045, and the ladder truck is 2042.
All right, we can end the meeting at 8:35 PM. Thank you, everybody, for your patience tonight.
I have to reorganize my mind here.